You're listening to Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits. I'm Alysa Lucas, and I've been thinking about my friendship groups over my lifespan. I have my babysitter's co-op crew, as you know. I have my school friends from Luton Elementary, Dwight Rich Middle School, and then the best high school ever, Sexton, where we were the Big Reds, and you should have been a big red, right? So if there are any of my high school friends listening, like Kate, hi Kate Randolph, then you know what I'm talking about. And also my friend Brian from high school, you always hashtag big reds do big things, right? I've been thinking about all these different groups of people, but also I have my ballet gals, my softball posse, my cheerleading squad, my newspaper nerds, and this is all before I graduated high school. But do you remember your parents saying things like, I don't want you to be friends with so-and-so, they're such a bad influence, or why don't you hang out with Y, she's such a nice girl, or maybe even make good choices because you're an extension and reflection of the company you keep. And so it makes me wonder, do you make good choices? And maybe that's different from saying, do you make good friendship choices? When you're young, maybe we don't make good choices, or we don't even think about it because it's too cool to care, like maybe when I was at Dwight Rich or Sexton. I don't even care. But as is discovered in this interview with friends Sarah and Jen, that they made good friendship choices. And I know this because I'm friends with Sarah, and Jen is awesome. So I'm really excited for you to hear this episode. Not only are they awesome friends, but they do friend things that I've never even heard of, which means I need to hear from more of you. Send me all of your stories. And or I need to step up my friendship game. So enjoy this journey of an episode that has many touching moments and one's just full of shit. You're going to love it. All right, so I'm here with friends Sarah and Jen. Say hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hello, hello. All right, Sarah, you say hi so people know the difference between your voices.
Hello, I'm Sarah. Welcome.
Jen.
And I'm Jen.
Thank you. Now people can recognize all three. Oh, and I'm Alysa. Hopefully they know that.
Hopefully by now.
This is episode 35, so let's get it together. Woo!
Snaps.
Celebrate. So how long have you been friends? Can you tell me your friendship origin story? I want to know about how the two of you became friends.
Yes. So I met Jen in 2008 when I moved to Gettysburg and started working there. And I remember our origin story like this. So she may feel differently.
It's about to get serious.
But I worked in residence life. She was in advising. And at a mutual friend's party, she was there and we were playing cards or something.
All right, now we need to stop. Because we weren't just playing cards. We were playing some game, and here we go. We're going to get explicit already. I don't remember the name, but it was something like shithead or asshole or bullshit or something like that. It was not a drinking game. It was just a card game. And that's it. And it was some weird game that you were trying to teach us. And you were like, this is the best game ever. Everybody loves this game. But I don't remember the name of it. You were so into it.
It was probably shithead.
Okay.
Can you explain shithead for those of us who know nothing about it?
I don't remember much. It was a fleeting fancy, apparently, in my world.
And that was the only time I ever played that game with you, that night.
It just fleeted right away.
Clearly.
Because as we played it, someone was shit-talking hardcore, and I was like, this lady has got to sort out her priorities. And I was like, I actually remember thinking, like, I don't know if we're gonna, like, I don't know if I can be her friend.
Right out the gate, you're like, I don't know.
Like, this lady's very intense. And then when you stop playing games, like, pleasant as punch.
And the funny thing is, I'm not like that in general with games. But I think because I didn't like the game, I was like, well, this is going to be my fun.
Just shit talking. That's how you get your funsies.
Apparently.
New person, but that's okay. We're just going to shit all over their fun.
I'm going to make an impression.
You sure did.
So then you just remember her, like, she needed to get her priorities straight from the game. And after that night, when did you see her next?
Well, we worked on the same floor. So we would see each other, like, in passing here and there.
You know, in the ladies' room, maybe?
Right, in the ladies' room.
Right.
We're on the same schedule.
Just like that.
But at the time, all the folks in Res Life had a meal plan, so they'd go over to the dining hall every day for lunch, and sometimes I'd join them. And there was also kind of a young professional social group, and I think both of us realized that wasn't quite our jam. They were folks who went out a lot of drinking, and it just wasn't really our type of socializing. So we were both relatively new there. I started in January. When did you start?
I would have started in July.
Okay. So we were both relatively new, figuring out what our interest in social scene was there. And
tell me about the social scene in Gettysburg.
Well, so
sorry. Follow-up question.
Yeah, outside of the college, I would say for me, it was the first time in my professional or adult life, because coming out of grad school where there's so many people at least your same age that were interested in the same things, that it was hard going somewhere where people were either really young or much older, because it was pretty much just the students.
Yeah.
And then like grown-up adults. And at the time I had, again, just left grad school, so I was in my early 20s, and not a lot happened in there. I mean, the young professionals group was pretty much it. So it was hard to kind of find my place in that office. It was the smallest, most rural I had ever been. Little did I know what ruralness was coming my way, but...
She's in Mount Pleasant with me now.
Yeah, no, I took a stop at Eastern Illinois University in Charleston, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
Which, Mount Pleasant is a thriving metropolis by comparison. Sorry, any Charleston listeners, but you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I'm sure it just started gradually.
Yeah, and I think that young professionals in any field are figuring out their own professional ethics and things like that. And for me, what I started to realize is there was kind of a sect of young professionals who hadn't really let go of their college days and were still very much trying to live it up. And I was a little beyond that, and I realized, okay, well, I'm not in college anymore. B, I'm done. I had that experience. I should let the students here have that experience. And my social life doesn't need to revolve around what's going on at the college, nor do I want it to. So, and I think in a lot of ways we connected because we were both feeling that way. We weren't interested in what was going on on the college campus and in the college students' lives. And then I think we started to realize other things we had in common. Like we both really enjoy Taco Bell. And the closest Taco Bell was about a 25-minute drive. So,
oh, wow.
That's a tragedy in a college town.
We did run for the border.
Yeah.
And, great news, though. We've had some new construction and development going on in Gettysburg. And one of the things that's coming in is Taco Bell. And
Cheers.
And I just saw someone in town post on Facebook last night that it opened yesterday.
Yay! So first stop when you get home, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So we realized that. So we would go and make a day of it. And
make a day.
You did?
Well, yeah. When the closest Target and the closest Dunkin' Donuts and the closest
came
Taco
even
Bell.
later.
Like
3 years after I
Joann's,
got
the closest
there.
Joann's, like all those things are 25 minutes away. You make a day of it.
And what's in your town are people who get their jollies dressing up like Civil War reenactors. Again, or like ghost tours all around town. And I mean, the town really tried to embrace their historical element, which, I mean, I get it, but outside of that world, there wasn't a lot happening. You really kind of made your own fun.
Yeah.
So you were trying to make your own fun at that card game, and then Jen comes in and doesn't...
I was just trying to make friends. But thanks. So turns out we really did. I mean, we ended up playing a lot of different games. We would play the game of life over lunch.
Oh, yes.
And so that was fun because our work worlds were really stressful too.
Yeah.
So that was really nice to have someone to talk with, commiserate with, whatever. So that was really nice because I think it's just a different it was the most unique student population that I'd worked with in terms of kind of wealth and expectations. And that's just not what I was used to. And I think that's the same for you. And we didn't always understand that life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but gradual. I mean, the weird part was we became really close friends, and the mutual friend that introduced us kind of faded from our world and our lives. And again, kind of to Jen's point of evaluating what we want in our professional lives and personal lives. And so that was difficult at times because I still worked with that person.
Oh.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Are y'all on the same schedules too? Sorry. You meet up in that bathroom.
Luckily not. It was a very small bathroom. Yeah. Very small, very hop and joint.
So can you tell me then how did playing life at lunch come about? Because if your first interaction is that this lady needs to get it together, was there someone who suggested it, or how did you find out that you were both into games?
I don't know. I don't remember. And I'm really lucky that we did after that first interaction. Maybe it was just like me peacocking, right? Trying to be like, I'm a badass. Yeah, I'm a badass.
I'm a badass. Let's play life.
Well, no, I mean like that in that first interaction. Because I'm
gotcha.
not really like that.
Yeah.
You're pretty competitive when it comes to games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I met you was actually, Jen, was online, and it was because you FaceTimed in to play the Gilmore Girls trivia game.
That's right.
Yes.
And can I let y'all know as a reminder, I won that game. But like, I think it was you and I that were like head to head.
Yeah,
but I don't remember it being like, you're like, God damn it, lady.
Yeah, because it's funny. I know
unless you muted your end of the.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I know games are just games.
Yeah.
So in the moment, I can be competitive, but I think I'm also a pretty good sport.
Yeah.
Like when people are doing really well or things like that, I don't get mad at myself or mad at anyone else when they win.
Yeah.
But I really do like to trash talk. I do. So how did
Sarah's face?
Will. Like playing Skippo, and she'll put that wild Skippo down and make eye contact while she does it. Like,
Sarah and I shouldn't play Skippo together.
We should not, because it's basically like a giant middle finger that she's putting down and stares you down while she does it. And it's like, you did that on purpose. Yep.
Yeah, we do better.
Because it's a game.
Yeah, we do better at games where we aren't competing with each other. But what games do you play that aren't like that?
Well, or ones where the strategy, like we do really well with Ticket to Ride.
You kind of said Dicket. Which is hysterical.
She's got a Dicket to Ride and she don't care.
When we
got a ticket to ride.
When we were listening to an episode of your podcast earlier today, I swear you kept saying friendship instead of friendship. It was hysterical.
Well, I won't be surprised if that slips in every now and then, and not because it's my commentary on friendship. But it is also maybe part of my Michigander accent, but also I used to love Dane Cook, and he has a bit where he talks about relationships instead of relationships.
Got it.
So it is very well possible that a Dane Cook might, just slip in there every once in a while. So, friends, listeners, I mean relationship or friendship and not shit. They're like, I thought this podcast was supposed to be positive and about celebrating friendship, but it's all like, shit.
Yeah, sometimes you can have a relationship. I mean, it just...
And a friendship. It happens.
Right. It happens.
But I'm so glad, though, that you got beyond that first interaction, although you might not have seen it in the same way, and that you were able to sort of build a friendship, although it might have been slowly but surely. And so... Can you tell me a little bit more about your time at Gettysburg? So you would do games at lunch, and what are some of the other things you did as friends?
We realized we both enjoy crafting. quite a bit. So I can't really think of any specific craft projects we did when you were still in Gettysburg. But
I think it's just more that we did them together. Because, Joann's, when we made a day of it, we'd go there or the AC Moore and pick up some supplies and just, projects and work on that. And so, we both liked crafts because I don't think there was any kind of catalyst moment.
No.
But fairly early on, you had invited me down to Virginia with Lisa and Kristen.
Right.
So I think that was definitely an affirmation of our friendship at that point, that you'd be willing to introduce me to your friends.
Yeah. That is so much fun, let me tell you. Because we all have, different circles. So I've got my circle of people from college and my circle of people from grad school. And there were very few opportunities for those two circles to intersect.
Yeah.
And then, friends from high school, friends from the job that I had when I lived in New York. And then I was developing friends in Gettysburg. And it's so cool to be able to connect those circles. And I think when you're spread out really geographically, there are so few opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
So this was one. We went down to Blacksburg, Virginia for Thanksgiving. I don't remember what year it was, but I saw some pictures of that a few months ago. It popped up on Facebook, and I thought, holy cow, we look really young. It was a while ago.
I think it was year 2 or something like that.
It was when those velour jumpsuits were still sort of in fashion.
Were they ever?
They've never not been in fashion for certain populations.
Yeah, apparently, because a couple of pictures of me in that. I had a nice blue one.
I sure hope you're going to be able to produce one of these for promos for this episode, because, or at least to share with me.
Somewhere. We'll blot out your face for your protection. We'll put question marks.
The velour suit has joined the witness protection program.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Kristen and Lisa are also pretty active, and we were not so much. So I think that's probably it. We were going to go for walks and stuff like that.
And she's shaking her head no, can we craft instead?
Right. I'm what you call indoorsy.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't enjoy walking. I find it incredibly boring. If I could tennis my way somewhere or something, I'd do that. But I find walks incredibly boring.
If I can go back, though, to talk about how cool it is to connect your circle.
Oh, yeah, please. Yes.
I recently had the opportunity to connect someone from grad school with a friend from college just a couple of weeks ago. And it was so amazing. And I realized, wow, this has gone really well. 98% of the time, the people that I've connected have just really enjoyed making those connections. And they say, wow, your friends are so nice. And I realize the friends of my friends that I've met have been so nice. And I realized that in so many of these circumstances, like attracts like. If I really have faith that my friends are great people and I've chosen to have them in my life for so long, chances are they're pretty great people and they're going to attract pretty great people. So of course, why wouldn't I like the people that I've met? All of Sarah's friends here in Mount Pleasant have been fabulous. And it's just been really, really kind of fun to expand my circle.
I'm really glad that you circled back to that, because I think it's an excellent point that sometimes it can be really challenging to bring groups together. Okay, so this friend has this thing and this person is like this and this person, I think this is from a comedy podcast, is this one's pretending they have an English accent and then this one has trying to bring everyone together, and it can be really hard. And I had so many different circles. I have my friends from childhood. I have friends from undergrad, grad school, another grad school, those sorts of things. And it's some of those people will never have the opportunity to interact. I don't think Kate, my best friend, and my work spouse, Tara, I don't think have ever met. And I don't know if when they will, So, but at the same time, Tierney, and I think you listened to that episode today, and Kate get along splendidly, right? And so it is one of those things that, of course, they're going to get along well, right? Because they're my friends, right? And I think they're awesome, and so hopefully they're awesome together. It might not work with everyone,
right?
But I do, if that's a theory that, attracts I met Sarah. We came in at the same time at Central, you and advising me in faculty. And it took us a while, I think, to make those connections. One of the first things I remember with Sarah is that I went around with a selfie stick to take a 24-hour selfie stick adventure to show a slideshow in my dark side class about annoying communicators. So Sarah and I went really far. We had you had the British flag on your computer. We had tea cookies,
mini crumpet cookies,
and then we did the selfie stick. And then I think after that, the next thing was your move-in party, right? And I think after that, we've gone along, really well, and we hang out and we play games. She's introduced me to so many games. Me, who am I playing games with? The games are great, but I have all these games and no one to play them with. But then she talked about you, Jen, and about your friendship and who you are. And then when I met you, I'm yeah, she's awesome too. So I think she's yes. I hope you think the same. So I think there is something. So there is this, that's not something we've really talked about too much, but that friends are voluntary and we get to choose who we're friends with and who we're not friends with. People who might fleet away or ghost away or whatever. We get to choose who we're friends with. And if we make good choices, and maybe we don't always, when I was younger, I'm sure I made lots of poor choices.
Or when the reason, and this was a topic in one of the podcasts we listened to earlier, or maybe it was one I listened to, when the reason you're friends initially is just geography.
Geography.
Do you have a ticket to ride to that geography?
Yeah, I do. Here's one. Let me come back to that. So hold on to that because I'll come back to that in a second.
We'll put a pin in it.
Dog-ear that.
We'll put a pin in it.
But let me share with you that a few weeks ago when I was having this experience of connecting groups and realizing that, of course, my friends' will be good people because my friends are good people. I couldn't come up with the phrase like attracts like.
Yeah.
All I could come up with was you are what you eat.
Taco Bell.
That's right.
So now whenever I think of that phenomenon, all I think of is you are what you eat. All right. So, when friendships are based on geography, so sometimes that happens, the people you were friends with in high school.
Yeah.
Because you're in the same school, you see them every day. That happened to me. The friends that I was friends with in high school, that was my group. Those were my people. And it wasn't until I got to college and made friends there that I realized, holy shit, the friends that I had in high school were bullies. They were really shitty people. And it was so amazing to be out of that. But I really didn't even realize that I was being bullied until maybe a few years ago. So many years removed from high school. But
yeah.
In college, I went to a women's college, so I was surrounded by women, and those are some of the closest relationships I have. And I realized that it's because they're based on everyone wanting to be a really good friend. And so it was there that I learned how to be a good friend.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort.
Preach.
But in retrospect, the juxtaposition of that with what I had in high school out of sheer convenience. Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. So the friends that you have that are only based on one thing, like geography, maybe you make a friend in college or in grad school and you think, yeah, we've got this great friendship. And then down the road when you have the opportunity and
to reflect.
Wow. No, that isn't a friend.
Yeah, and I think there are probably some people who have been best friends with someone where they were forced in the same ballet class, soccer team class, Bible camp, whatever the case might be, and it works for them. But I think in most cases that we think these are our people because we don't know anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
And that when you go to college or life after college might be a search for who truly are my people, who understand me, who get me, who are going to be there for me. And then that's when you can really choose who those people are, that you're just eating whatever your mom placed in front of you, and now you get to choose what you eat. To go back to your reference.
What you eat. Oh, beautiful. Well done.
Let's bring that back.
Circle it back. Circle it back.
Well done.
I think there's certain things too, because sometimes in high school you might stick with things because you're afraid of the unknown. Like, well, if I leave this group, what will I do? Who will I be with? And I think as you get older, and you do have so many. I mean, I have friends around the world. I mean, scattered around the world, and so you have to put in a lot of work to maintain some of these friendships.
So true.
And so you realize it really becomes about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And I think that's something as you get older. But most young people, I think, quantity.
Yeah.
You know, how many friends do I have on Facebook?
How many likes do I got on Instagram?
You know,
that was eerie. That was like at the same time.
So, you know, well, friends. And so you realize, and I'm so glad we've been able to maintain our friendship long distance. And because that is not an area I'm very good at. But, well, without, you know,
sorry for the listeners, you can't see my face, but it's a
normally, under other circumstances, you know, that's not a strength of mine per se, but you were the driving force, I think, of keeping our relationship together.
I've been told that in the past, that I'm really good at keeping in touch with people. For my alma mater, I'm our class correspondent, so I'm the one who like gathers the notes and what's going on in everybody's life. Yeah, I've been doing that for actually.
Said the people who play games at Craft.
Right. There's a hierarchy.
I was elected to this position at our 5-year reunion, and my class elected me into this position in perpetuity. But I've been told that, and I have to say, I get that from my dad. My dad just modeled throughout his whole life how to be a really good friend.
That's awesome.
And my dad like traveled around and moved around a lot in his young life, and through all of that, he made friends all over the country. And when he would travel, he would stop and visit them. He would make whatever trip he was making, he would make it so that he got to stop and see different people along the way. And to this day, one of his best friends is a guy he went to junior high with.
Wow.
Yeah, and they would get together as often as they could. And several years ago, he took a trip and stopped and visited another friend who he hadn't seen since junior high.
Wow.
But when you have something like that modeled for you your whole life, then you're going to do it. It's just part of your life and part of what you do.
Yeah.
And understanding what you need then from other people.
Yeah.
You know, you get it and can ask for it. But learning how we've been able to stay in contact. Because again, I left Gettysburg in 2012.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how have you, that 6 years that you haven't been in the same geography, is that what you call it?
Geography, yes.
Geography,
Yes.
in the same geographic spot.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about how you've maintained that friendship?
Yeah, I think when I left Gettysburg, I went to Eastern Illinois for about a year, and then I came up here to Central. And so I've been at Central, it'd be 5 years in August. And so I think initially probably phone calls. I mean, social media has helped a lot, because I think one of the reasons I'm not able to maintain certain friendships is I'm not as up to date as I need to be on your day-to-day life to make conversations relevant.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really particularly want to play catch up all the time, or like just those commonalities fade away when I think of other friendships that have kind of fizzled in the long term. So I think that helped us keep together. But I would say in these last 2 years or so, we've done a really good job of, you know, FaceTiming more, or I reached out to her a lot as I remodeled different parts of my house just to bounce ideas off of someone, despite us having very different taste with things. She humored me a lot with that. And then officiating your wedding was obviously huge, the communication with that. But once we figured out we can play Ticket to Ride via FaceTime, no looking back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, can you break it down? So those of you who don't know, I mean, obviously I'm going to post photos and you can also Google, but Ticket to Ride is a board game that has strategy about getting trains and building your path across different geographic locations, right? Europe, the US, India, whatever the case is. So can you tell me walk us through a FaceTime Ticket to Ride. Like what does that sound like? What does that look like? Tell us everything.
Well, the first 20 minutes to a half hour is saying, how do we do this again?
Or us being like, no, just 5 more minutes. I gotta get one more. I gotta be Bob. And so,
and can I just interject? Bob is her dog. Because that can always be confusing. That's Bob Barker, and he's actually here with us today.
Yes. He's producing today.
Yes, he is, and Ferguson is not happy about it. Where did Ferguson go? I think he ran upstairs. So I'm sorry, Sarah. I just felt like people wouldn't know who Bob was.
So for the first 20 minutes to a half hour, it's setting up, and we usually kind of FaceTime while we're setting up and chit-chat a little bit.
We've separated cards out.
We have.
So the route cards we've separated into A or B. And so one of us will play with A and the other will play with B. So we don't end up building the same routes.
So really you could do this with any board game, because what's essential is that you both have the game so that you have the same pieces, and you set up, like if I'm yellow, I set up mine with mine, and I set up Sarah's green on my board. So we both can see each other's pieces on our own board. We take turns. It's a little different. It's not going to exactly duplicate the experience of playing in person, because clearly we can't like use each other's cards and things like that. But it works for this game, and I imagine it could work for a lot of board games.
Yeah. And we've extended out. We have the different expansion packs now. So we have matching ones. We got some of those for Christmas. Actually, I think my parents chipped in and got some of those. They're very committed to our friendship as well.
They are.
All right, let's go, parents.
Right?
Well, seriously, her parents are phenomenal. Like, her dad comes to stay with me every November.
Yeah. He used to be with me when I lived there.
Yeah.
And then he's just adopted you as a surrogate.
Yeah, he comes every November because he goes to a conference, a Civil War conference in Gettysburg.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
He loves it.
It's pretty amazing.
I mean, he's a great house guest because he leaves very early in the morning and returns very late and just pretty much sleeps there. So he's a great,
perfect,
a great house guest. And so, so he'll come. And so then my mom, so you're a quilter, my mom's a quilter, Jen does pottery, my mother, that was one of her specialties when she studied art at Central. Yeah. So they have those kind of connection pieces in common. And my mom actually stopped over yesterday and we had a good conversation about pottery because Jen had given me some pieces and so when Christmas rolled around and maybe hadn't gotten the ones you were hoping for, my parents are like, we're on it. And my dad's like, how much can this get us, this amount of money? And then my mom was like, well, we'll give this amount too. And so they together we were able to get you like 2 or 3 versions. So that's really expanded what we can do via FaceTime.
Yeah.
But can I just pause for a second in the idea of parents supporting friendship? I realize like you're adults and that sort of thing. And like, it's cool. I mean, there's something to be said about it because parents might not be involved in friendship, but to be involved, right? And I would definitely say like, my mom asked about Sarah and Crystal and Ashley. And, my dad was never really good with names. And so he knew like Anne and Kate. And that was like, but at the same time, like he's more invested. He knows people, if they're my Murderino friends or this and that. And they ask about people. But it reminds me of like when you're growing up. And if your parents don't support a friendship, or if they do, and you don't think about it past the time that maybe you're in the house, or maybe even in college when, the kids might go back home and that sort of thing. But it's so cool to see parental support of friendship. Like,
absolutely.
I'm super psyched about it.
Yeah.
Go Grandstaffs.
Right. They definitely have just fully support that. Again, ask questions all the time. My father will attempt to RSVP to Jen's house for that November conference round about February. Because
No lie.
Just checking to see if you have any openings,
Yep.
if you're booked up.
Well, and then so sometimes I'll travel out with him. That's been the normal thing is I'll come out, I'll take vacation time in November, and then I'll go out, and then we'll just hang out for like a week or so. And no joke, this year he called me in like February and he's like, so do you want to go this year? And I was like, that's literally next semester. I mean, that's a whole like time frame away. And he was like, well, I'm just putting it out there. I mean, we should probably get that figured out.
February.
I was like, I think we've got some time.
8 months.
That's a whole new academic year. Like, I know he doesn't operate like that, but yeah, he's very on top of it.
Yeah.
With those plans.
Yes. Now, I want to add that we also do some other really fun things via FaceTime.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Tell me.
recently, so I love Meyer.
Yes.
We don't have a Meyer.
We
near
talked
me.
about Meyer on the episode with the ladies from Spoop Hour.
Fabulous.
So we talked about that for like 10 minutes.
Of course.
So check out that episode for all
I'm
the
a
Meyer
big fan.
goods.
We've already been twice, and I've only been here like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And it's going to come again. We're definitely making more trips to Meyer. But I really like their clothes selection. I'm not super picky in terms of fashion, but when I was here last summer, I found some really fantastic things. So I guess it was maybe a month ago. No, 90 days ago.
Yeah, it was
Because
over
we
90
passed
days.
the return policy for one of the things that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember this because Sarah was late for something because you were FaceTiming.
To a friend event with Alysa because I had ice cream in the cart. It was been 45 minutes.
Yeah, but explain what you did. Sorry, I kind of jumped in.
So, yeah, you explain it.
Well, Sarah had texted me, I think, and said, hey, this is on the clearance rack. I think you'd really like it. And so then I was in the middle of something, but then I was finished up, and I said, give me 10 minutes. And then she FaceTimed me and literally walked around the entire clothing section.
Yep.
FaceTiming so I could like pick things out. And then I think I got like 5 or 6 things, and she bought them and brought them home. And then I just tried them on this week, and all of them except one fit great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
FaceTime shopping is no joke.
That's a good friend who's not only knows that you love Meyer, which as a reminder is the grocery store / everything you ever need in life store.
Right.
In Michigan in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And so like to know that she loves the store, the things that are happening there, the things that, she might like in terms of clothing, and then to spend the time walking around and
I was like,
FaceTiming.
we gotta be quick. I got ice cream 45 minutes later. That shit was melted. By the time it like reformed, thankfully, in the container, I open it. I'm like, oh, what's this jubilee of like mishmash toppings now?
Oh, I would have taken it back before I left and got a fresh one. Put that back in the freezer.
It was a seasonal flavor. I couldn't because I had a panic and I stockpiled the last 3 containers of this limited edition ice cream. And I don't even like ice cream that much, but I was like, it's almost gone.
Have to have it.
Yeah.
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 Panic.
Have a snack on that all year. We do have our own hashtag that we share amongst ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Twypop. Things I wouldn't post on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is new information to me.
I know.
Well,
right?
That's because we don't post it on Facebook.
That's right.
It's kind of things we don't share outside of just a little bubble of us.
Yeah.
Although I
can't
do
give you any
sometimes share them
examples.
with
No.
I was
husband.
gonna say what's the hashtag? Or do you like text each other and
Yes.
say like hashtag secret stuff
Hashtag
we can't tell
Twypop.
anyone else?
Twypop.
Yeah.
Things
What,
I wouldn't things.
Not
Oh,
really
it's an acronym.
wouldn't post on Facebook.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like something incredibly snarky about
Yes.
someone we both know.
Mhm.
Like might be
the
an
person
example.
who's hosting this podcast right now.
Yeah.
No.
Hashtag. Sometimes
There
there's-
seems to be some disagreement.
Maybe
I said not to let her know.
Why do you think she didn't hear about it until today? Way to let that cat out of the bag.
Great. I'm
sometimes
starting
it's
my
like-
own hashtag about the two of you. I have to figure out who I'm going to send it to.
Sometimes it's like super personal hygiene things,
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
that you don't necessarily want to share with the world, but you gotta share with somebody.
Yeah,
the
fair.
camaraderie of it.
Yeah,
It just again,
yeah.
but that's how like as we've gotten older or just things about our bodies are changing. like Jen said, we just need to just get it out.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes it just rides the line. Maybe it's things I wouldn't post on Facebook, question mark. Like, is this postable, do you think?
Yeah.
Or questionable, or, so
it's like a way to share as well as have like a sounding board. And and the hashtag, can you say it again for me?
We call it TWIPOF, but I don't think we're pronouncing it correctly.
TIWPOF.
I'm not even going to try. But is it kind of like when you hashtag that, then it does not leave the two of you?
Correct.
That's such a cool friendship. Why don't I have a hashtag?
I tell my husband.
Oh.
I know, she was a little like, we keep that a secret. And I'm like, she tells Corey.
Although, honestly, he doesn't, he's not interested or doesn't care about most of it, so most of it I don't. But only, the ones I think he'll find really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of, I accept that. Because I do know Corey very well. Because you were dating him most of the time we were at Gettysburg, and then he eventually moved in and would watch Mr. Lickers, my previous dog, during the daytime, along with your dog. And so, Corey and I know each other pretty well. Yeah.
Well, and I'd also say, and I don't know if this is a good point to jump to that, but and if it's not, we can wait. We can put a pin in it. Yeah. But officiating the wedding, can you talk? Are you okay to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're not going to give us any of the hashtag gossip.
Right. Secrets make friends.
If there was any good hashtag gossip, I did find out a lot. It's a funny thing that happens. There's a lot that people don't tell you until after the wedding about crazy shit that happens during the wedding. They really protect you.
Yeah.
And then afterward, they're like, oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
We took care of that for you.
Yeah.
Right. But when I was trying to figure out, we had a short engagement. We got engaged in May and got married in November.
Awesome. Yeah.
But you've been together
forever.
10 years?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. 10 years in May. It was 10 years in May.
Yeah.
When I was trying to figure out what we were going to do, I was trying to figure out my wedding party and all that. And I have two friends who I've had forever, very much like sisters to me in good ways and in bad. Sometimes sisters are bitches and pains in the asses. And you but they're your sisters, right?
Yeah.
And so I've known for a long time, those people will be my bridesmaids. Well, let me tell you, fabulous friends, 70% of the time, know me very well. We're definitely connected by hearts. Shitty bridesmaids, really shitty bridesmaids. But I knew that. And we knew we didn't want any kind of a religious or spiritual ceremony. So we were trying to figure out who we wanted to officiate it. And we wanted it to be more personal than a justice of the peace. And so we were kind of tossing ideas around, and it couldn't really, some of the ideas we had just really leaned one way or the other. We thought about my husband's sister, for example, but I found out after the fact she really doesn't like public speaking, so that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But we thought, hey, I think Sarah would be, we both thought Sarah would be fabulous for this because
hair flip.
We knew, she'd be a whole lot more responsible than anybody else.
And very reliable.
Yes, very reliable. She'd take it seriously. And she's also only known us as a couple. Whereas all of the other people we were thinking about had known one of us first for a long time.
Okay.
So this was, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, that was a big part of it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
It was when I was here that summer that I asked you.
Yeah.
And I loved your answer. It was let me think about it. Let me look into that. Because she wasn't sure what it would entail to become ordained on the internet.
Yeah.
And things like that. But let me tell you, if anyone ever needs a minister from the Universal Life Church for any kind of ceremony or rite, I highly recommend Sarah Grandstaff.
Oh, thank you.
Because
thank you.
she took this so seriously, and she wrote the entire ceremony, and it was a beautiful ceremony. It was my favorite part of the wedding.
Oh,
the ceremony.
Thank you.
By far. And it was so beautiful, and everyone afterwards
talked about how beautiful it was. It was really
People
personal.
thought I did that professionally.
Right?
Many people were like, so how long have you been doing this? And I was like, this is the first one. And they're like, what?
Yeah. It was incredible. So thank you. It was wonderful.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I will say the only reason I hesitated is I didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was such a special and important day. And I only wanted to commit if I knew I could do it justice. I knew I could do it right. And I did. Took it super serious, Googling the shit out of that, did a lot of research, asked a lot of questions about like tone, what things you did. Like you were very clear, I don't think you wanted me to say, I now pronounce you husband and wife, or you didn't want, so able to infuse their wants in there. And just also was really nervous that I would like cry up there because recognizing it's not about me. Like it's an important part of the day, but you're part of the background of the day. Like it's really meant to celebrate you two. And so I was very nervous that I was going to cry. And so I actually wrote that into the ceremony and told everyone like, hey, if I start crying, just pretend I'm not. I'm going to go take a knee in the corner, compose myself.
Take a knee. You're like the NFL. You're like,
right? I was like, if I need a moment, you guys take a moment. We're going to do this together. And so that was at the beginning. And I did. I got a little choked up when you were coming down the aisle. Aww. And I was like, oh, I got to get together. I got it together. So, yeah.
Talk about full circle that the first time you met that you were saying to yourself that she needed to get it together, and then you ordain the ceremony, and you're like, come on, Sarah, get it together.
I'm a sympathetic crier. I just, anything where it's a game-changing moment, and, there's been some pretty significant stuff in your personal life, and just to see your dad, it was really touching.
Yes.
I'm getting a little misty just talking about it right now. But, so yeah, I love doing that. It was very special. I was so pleased you did ask me, but that was my big nervousness of I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't want to mess it up. But then once I was in, I was all in.
Oh, you're so all in. And I think it was funny too. I mean, it was a very funny ceremony too. It was so personal.
Well, that's because you told me that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
She was like, I want to laugh. I want to cry. I just want it to be great or something like that. And I was like, no pressure. No. Okay.
But it was great. Like the one point in our vows. So my husband and I wrote our own vows, and vows are really freaking hard. So we did a lot of reading stuff on the internet and kind of what we wanted it to say. And it's one thing to like put them on paper. It's another thing to say them out loud. And we didn't actually practice saying them out loud. So when it got to the point where I had to repeat after Sarah and she said something, blah, 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 blah. I promise.
About being your sunshine.
I promise to fill your days with sunshine. I laughed. I said, no, that's not part of this.
I said, no, you told me. You wrote that.
In the middle of the ceremony. Like,
in the middle
of the ceremony. Yeah. And then I had to kind of roll my eyes and say, I promise to fill your days with sunshine. And so we definitely, my husband and I throw that in each other's face every once in a while. Like, hey, that is not filling my day with sunshine.
Well, that's great because it makes it so much. It is personal, but it's so memorable.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so it's like one of those things where you can constantly reflect back on or connect back to, and it's always going to be something that is positive and meaningful to you versus like it was not that you would be horrible, Sarah. I'm saying people whose weddings don't go the way that they want them to and they remember it in some certain way, but that when you both think about it, like what it means to you, and it's been a couple of years, right? So you've been married.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in November.
2 years in November. And the other thing is, I know that in weddings, there are bridesmaids or groomsmen or groomsladies and bridesmans and whatever else as a way to include friends in the ceremony. And I think that's part of the tradition. And to have her lead the entire ceremony, I think also reflects how highly you value friendship and her role in your life, or how you both see her. And I think that is wonderful. And I was actually surprised by my work spouse, Tara, her now husband, Jason, contacted me and asked me to read a poem at the wedding because he wanted me to be a part of it. And I was just like, yeah. And a
lot of pressure, right?
Yeah, and here they picked out the poem, which was super cute and everything, and I loved it. And I'm a not a public speaking teacher, but I have taught it, right? I have a PhD in communication. But here's the thing, I don't like doing stuff like that. It's too much pressure. My brother also asked me to read in his wedding, and I'm like shaking the whole time. Wow. It's nerve-wracking because it's their special day, but there is something really wonderful about that, like, even when there were pictures posted and I saw that, and I don't think I knew who you were, and I don't know if we were hanging out as much as we were or as we do now, but I just remember being like, that's so cool. Like, yay, friendship. A win for friendship. Let's put a check in the column for friends today. So,
part of it for me, I have two brothers. I don't have sisters. I never had sisters. And I don't know if the friends that I have that I'm super, super, super close with are, to me, that they're sisters to me. And I don't know if that's what it's really like to have sisters. Yeah. People I talk to, like, oh, my sister's a bitch and we fight all the time. I don't know. But that's how I treat them. Like, I drop everything. I'll do whatever I need to. You need me, I'm there. I need you, you're there. And through the fun and through all the hard stuff, too. Yeah. That's just how I roll.
Friends are the family you make yourself.
Oh, look at you throwing out quotes.
I'm ready, everybody.
Hey, have you been on Google again? Because you are a responsible person, as you mentioned, and I think you mentioned it too. And you will take such great care in knowing stuff, though, too, looking stuff up and the things that you create as part of, like, I don't know, like when I interviewed Gareth Reynolds for the podcast and I went to Meijer for to go grab something, and I came back and there was a note stuck to my front window, and I was like, what the hell is that? What happened to my window? But then there's all these things that, like, you looked up all these gifts and you did all these things and made this little, like, you're gonna do great. You are a strong woman podcaster.
Yes, Beyonce Pate.
Yes.
I think from the Mindy Project. Yeah.
And then I also like the image that said, we're rooting for you, and it was all root vegetables. But, like, that's so you do, like, you know what I mean? That you take great care, like, in researching things for your house and how to do this thing and putting things together. And it's part of you, who you are. And I think it makes you, like you talked about earlier, a good friend. I think that really comes through.
Thank you very much.
And let me tell you, that was the one part of the wedding I did not worry about. I'm not worried about anything that I had to put anybody else in charge of, or that they offered to be in charge of, even though they had no business being in charge of something. And I had to do it to just, let them be involved. Yeah. The ceremony was the one thing I had no worries about.
Yeah. And
well, thank you for that vote of confidence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the standards
if you had offered to make all the cupcakes for the wedding, even though you were coming from a different state, if you had offered to do that, I might have said yes and then had a backup plan when I knew it would fall through.
Yeah.
Almost like I'm talking from experience or something.
Yeah. Weird. I will say, though, when I think about friendships, if I don't have a lot of friendships, but I have a lot of quality friendships. And so I expect the same in return from people. And I'm very clear about the boundaries of friendship. Yeah. I'm okay. I'd rather be alone than with, someone who's not really a friend.
Or someone who's going to try to talk to you in the bathroom.
Yeah. Please don't. I will listen to silence from your end of the phone in the 2 minutes it takes you to go potty. So, yeah, please don't.
Don't call Sarah from the bathroom.
I've got some hard lines, and that's one of them.
So, what are some other Jen and Sarah stories from your friendship? So, I mean, obviously, when people hear about playing life at lunch or FaceTiming, Ticket to Ride, and ordaining, being is it
ordained?
ordained.
It
but
technically, yes.
You're a minister.
so you're a minister, Sarah Grandstaff.
The Reverend.
Reverend. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to address all your mail.
That's what I did for a while.
Yeah.
Reverend Grandstaff.
Yeah.
Should I put that? I'll put that in the description too.
There you
Reverend
go.
Grandstaff
Yes,
and her
the
friend.
Rev.
People are gonna be like, "Oh my God, what is this one about?"
Not religion.
Reverend Grandstaff and Dean Cole.
Man,
Back at it again. We sound like a crime fighting team. And speaking of which, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tirade here. But you were talking about friends all over the world. Can we talk about people that have friends all over the world? Jessica Fletcher. That lady's got friends everywhere. She wrote.
She's got. Okay, so here's another phrase.
How is she
that
maintaining those friendships?
I came up with another. It's like bros in different area codes. Because I don't want to say hoes because it's super derogatory to women. And like, I got. But what's a like feminine word or a woman word that rhymes with bros and hoes but is not hoes?
Well, I mean, from Parks and Rec, I know there's ovaries before broveries.
All right, so I've got O's in different area codes, and that means ovaries.
Right.
But she does, really?
Yes, everywhere. Like, nearly every episode's like, oh, this is this person I knew from such and such place. And you're like, how do you maintain all these friendships with your active... Previously, you were a teacher, so that's the whole school year. And then you now write books and travel the world to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
Friends everywhere.
Letters. She writes letters.
She writes letters.
And
she addresses people correctly, Reverend Grandstaff and Dean Cole.
Right. Yep.
You're so official.
So I had a thought. What was it?
Yeah, story time.
While you're thinking of that, side note, in case people hear sneezing, licking, heavy breathing, that is Bob Barker.
Yes, there he is.
He's
Bob
hanging
Marino.
out with us. He's hanging out with us today.
So I'll share this. Sarah, her former pupper, Mr. Lickers, was a doll.
My first dog ever.
Yeah, he was a sweetie. He was a very, very cute sandy brown Pomeranian. Elderly, but lovely. I, more than once, got a call from Sarah asking me to come look at his penis.
And I take thoughtful care of my animals as well.
Was there a ticket to ride that we need to discuss?
Apparently. He had a ticket to ride. And I don't even remember why, but it was more than one occasion.
Well, there was a spot on there, and I wasn't sure what it was.
Spotted dick.
Spotted dick. Yep, so that was... I was by myself. First dog I ever owned. You also had a dog at that point.
A female. My first dog ever.
And by the way, the first time Mr. Lickers ever met Violet.
Their origin story.
Turns out Violet was in heat. And Mr. Lickers, an elderly neutered dog, was like, I gotta get up on this dog over here and try to hump her. She's trying to walk away in her little diaper. And
she was in heat.
Mortified. Mortified.
And by the way, he was about a third the size of my dog. My dog is like a pit bull mix.
Yeah.
So this little Pomeranian was trying to get all up in her grill.
Right. And I mean, she took it in stride. But I was mortified. Absolutely, positively mortified.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I just, I didn't know. I needed a second opinion. And just, float that idea. We didn't have the hashtag at the time, but that would have fell into the hashtag category.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
couple questions from the audience.
yes.
Did you go over and look at... Hi, Bob.
Of course I did.
Okay, so you did go look at...
Of course.
And second, bless you, Bob. What was the spot on his penis?
Well, as best as I can figure, just an age spot.
A freckle.
Yeah, I did take him to the vet to get it checked out, and that's what they said, like an age spot.
You're like, there's a dot on my dog's penis. Yeah. Can you check it out?
Right.
So what other stories do you have? Jen, I think you have one that's quite traumatic.
I do.
On Sarah's point.
I do.
Do you want Sarah, feel free. You're on a couch, so if there's any...
I don't know what you're talking
safe.
about. So
it's a friend shitty moment.
Oh,
yeah.
Back to the friend shit.
So my husband and I had, he was
my boyfriend at the time, but we had gone out of town and we'd asked Sarah to pet sit for us.
Uh-oh.
And
she still doesn't
so
know.
I have a dog and 2 cats. At that time, it was 2 different cats from the cats that I have now.
Oh.
And I don't know
the realization.
why we thought this was a good idea.
I can't wait to tell my side of the story.
We thought that it would be fine for me to bring my cats and the dog, I think,
Yeah.
over to her house instead of just having the dog at her house and then having her stop by once or twice a
And
day
check on the
Twice
to
a
take
day.
care of the cat because the
Can we
cats.
make it clear what taking care of the cats entails?
Well, so one of the
Wonderful
cats was
cats.
just fine. He was lovely. His name was Watson.
Yeah.
R.I.P. The other cat, also lovely.
To some people.
Asterisk. Also R.I.P. She was a diabetic, an insulin-dependent diabetic, and needed insulin shots twice a day.
My nickname for her is Satan's Mistress.
And so, cats don't really like to be taken out of their environment and thrown into another one.
With
Here's
other
why
cats.
we thought
Did
this
you
might
have
be-
Bo and Bella at that
Yes.
time? Okay,
And
so
Mr.
Sarah had
Lickers.
cats. And Mr. Lickers. Okay.
And I did live in a 4-bedroom house, and so, but one of the reasons, because you were going to be gone for quite some time, and Satan's Mistress,
R.I.P.
liked to, right, R.I.P., would like to, in your apartment, hide in hard to reach places.
Yes.
So you'd have to try and stick your hand under there to get her out. And I was like, well, I enjoy my hand. I'd like to keep my hand. So maybe you should bring them over and they can have a bedroom all to themselves. And that might be a little bit better. Because again, twice a day, and you had to do it at the same time. So
Yeah.
I was also worried, because I'm a thoughtful friend, was worried about the
Sets
health
the tone.
of the cat.
I'm a thoughtful friend.
Right. So, would you like to? Should I pick up and tell you what happens?
I
from
think
there?
you should take it from here.
Okay.
Take it away.
So again, upstairs are where all the bedrooms at, kind of a quad of bedrooms, and then between 2 of them is a bathroom. And so they had 1 bedroom all to themselves. And every time, so the first time I went in that night, Jen really buried the lead about how difficult it was going to be to give this medicine.
So we gave her this medicine twice a day, every day, and had no problem.
But she's Satan's mistress.
Yeah, not for
she
them.
loved us. Yeah.
Oh, sounds like Rooney.
Anytime we had a cat sitter, when the cat sitter would come over and learn how to do it, she would be fine. The second we left, like horror stories. I went through so many cat sitters because she would bite them, scratch them. She sent one to the ER on Christmas
Jesus.
because
Boy,
she bit
am I
her.
vindicated over here. Huh?
Yeah.
So I went, and again, Jen did not really mention these things to me. And so I go in there, and the guttural moans coming out of this cat were terrifying. I grew up with cats. I grew up with cats my whole life. I have cats. I am not afraid of cats. And so I called Jen, and I was like, I don't know. She seems a little upset, like I'm nervous. Jen's solution was to wear gloves, a hoodie, and tie the strings very close around my face. Very close around my face. So that she couldn't get in there and get me. That was her solution. Night 1 of like a 6-day journey. And I was like, I'm fucked. Like, this is... So I did that. I went and I got gloves. I have to give her this insulin shot. So I went and did that. And I put the hoodie on. And so I pick her up. And she unloaded the largest dump I have ever seen a cat do. It was like toddler size. Like it was, did a human do this? Did I not? I mean, she just let it rip. And it was insult to injury for sure. And so I had this cat, this giant Duke, and just... So that was night 1. And so at some point, I really, really was terrified to go back in that room. And so but I did, like a diligent friend. And then at some point, she got out. And she parked it on the toilet in the upstairs bathroom. And if you got close to her, hissing sounds. And so I walked up the stairs. I saw her on the toilet. And I was like, oh my God. I was legitimately afraid. Like I had run into a serial killer. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so my strategy was to close all the other bedroom drawers and then throw a towel at her and hope that she would go back into her room. And she did, but not before stopping, looking at Mr. Lickers and going, batting his face with her paws, boom, 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 boom.
Poor Mr.
And then ran into the bedroom. And he's looking at me like, what did I do? I'm just standing. He was collateral damage. It was just... And it was terrifying, and I love you, but I cannot wait to get rid of that cat. And there was shit everywhere, because again, adult Duke every single time I went in to feed her. Where are you storing this? Where are you storing this? And so trying to get back in to clean it up, and it was just terrifying, and there was shit in the like cat stroller that you brought him in, and I was like, good luck.
Cat stroller?
Yes, that's how she transports her cats in cat strollers.
Oh, cool.
Except one's got a wonky wheel, and so
We've upgraded since then.
Oh, good. I was like, you know what? You're on. Yep, here they are.
What is Satan's mistress? What is her real name?
Chips.
Shits? Was that what I heard?
That was her nickname.
No.
She was a part of a duo.
Well, yeah, when I was in grad school, I had a roommate, and my roommate's dog for a hot minute, because she was a hot mess, but her dog's name was Salsa.
Yeah.
And I got the kitten at the time, so it was
Salsa
really
and chips.
cute, so I had chips and salsa, yeah.
That's really cute.
Now,
Oh my gosh, that story was outstanding.
Well,
Right?
so...
Are we doing a counterpoint here?
No, I'm just going to share a story about your animals.
Oh, we're going tit for tat now.
So, at one point in time, my husband was working from home, and Sarah thought, you know what? Mr. Lickers is home by himself all day. I think he would do much better in like a doggy daycare situation. So she would bring Mr. Lickers over to my house in the morning, and I would ride to work with her. So Mr. Lickers and my dog Violet would stay at home with my husband all day. And it took Sarah a while to actually believe us when we told her that Mr. Lickers didn't really like this arrangement. Because every day my husband would say, I don't know what's wrong with this dog, but he's taking these disgusting, bloody shits. Every day he's here. And there's something about this type of poop, whether it's like a special angry, upset, I hate my life poop, but it was bloody and it smelled like the most foul smell you'd ever smell, not like normal dog poop. And so months went by, and every day this would happen. He never did that at home. He never did that when anyone else was around. But it took many conversations to convince Sarah that I didn't think Mr. Lickers was happy coming to doggy daycare every day. And my poor husband just put up with it.
For bloody poops.
Yeah.
Bloody poops. Yeah.
There's a lot of poop stories.
Yeah.
They're literally, you said there's some friendship shitty stories. They're shitty. They're literally shitty stories.
And I think in retrospect, I think he did that when he was stressed.
Yeah.
So when I was there, he wasn't stressed.
Right.
And so, I mean, legitimately, and because he was older, I treated him to quite a few hamburgers from like McDonald's. And so that helped nothing with the consistency of it. And so we kind of got back on track and things were better. But I did remove him from doggy daycare.
So what I'm hearing, though, is that despite Satan's mistress and stressed, bloody McDonald's hamburger poops, that you were able to get past these shitty friend moments.
And I did, yes. And there was a moment where Chips had went into like diabetic shock.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. She did. She went into a coma.
Jen always made fun of me for saving these syringes because Mr. Lickers needed a liquid medicine all the time. And
Sarah
every new
also,
bottle.
at that point in time, had a hoarding problem when it came to Tupperware.
And kitchen sponges.
Yes.
I'm on the road to recovery, everybody.
I would agree. I would agree.
But I saved all these different syringes because you never know.
Yeah.
And so you kind of frantically called my house to see if I had any corn syrup, I think.
Yeah.
And not only did I have corn syrup, but I showed up with a syringe that really helped out. And that's, again, I mean, that's after she shit all over the second floor bedroom. So
I want to point out that that's actually not the only time that Chips has shit on a friend of mine.
Did this happen before or after Sarah's experience?
Long before.
Oh, and were you given that information, Sarah?
Oh,
yeah.
When
That probably should have been in the fine print.
Moving at one point when I was moving between apartments years before I had even moved to Gettysburg, my friend Christine was helping me pack. And she was in my guest room, like packing up some stuff, and Chips walked right over to her and just pooped right on her feet. Bare feet.
That's what I think about you.
I'll just have to say that for everyone who talks smack about Rooney, she's never shat on anyone.
Right. I mean, give her time.
Yes, yeah, she isn't quite elderly yet, and she's not diabetic yet, but she might be well on her way because girl weighs 18 to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And the stairs down to the litter do not help burn any calories whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of friendship, but I think it might be good to end on a more positive note or less shitty note.
Right.
So the last question I usually ask friends is what it means to be each other's friends. So Sarah, what does it mean to have Jen as your friend? And Jen, what does it mean to have Sarah as your friend? So we are doing a sharp turn out of shitville down into like, let's get super personal and lovey-dovey or whatever sort of response you have.
You should go first.
Well, I can say that I'm not necessarily the person who always picks up the phone. Like when someone calls, I hate talking on the phone.
Me too, preach.
But more than anybody else,
I love it.
I pick up when Sarah calls.
Yeah.
Or when she FaceTimes, because usually it's something funny.
Yeah.
Or like I think that when it comes to our work lives, we care a lot. We take a lot of pride in our work. And so I know that I can bounce anything off of her work-wise and vice versa. So I feel like there's, and all the personal stuff, like, of course, like
the secret hashtag.
Yeah. Like, I think that having people in your life who you can share those things with, like, we know the boundaries we have, but there are very few of them, and we're mindful of that. So I think when you respect someone so much, and you feel safe to be vulnerable with them, you can accomplish a lot, and you can do that. And so I have this concept. It's my dream team list, and I started it when I was in college. And these are people who, it started with this woman who I love. Her name's Kristen Downs. She's amazing.
Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Kristen.
Wait, she has a podcast, right?
She does have a podcast.
Do you want to do a brief shout out for her podcast?
I would love to. So The Notable Woman.
Nice.
And if you look her up on Facebook, it's the Society of Notable Women. She's fabulous. Kristen Downs. We worked together in college on our several projects. I had a lot of classes with her. And we were both in the honors program, and we worked together with another amazing woman, Brenna O'Keefe, on our senior project.
Yeah.
And it went so well in so many ways. We worked together well. It didn't go like perfectly, but we worked together so well that I realized, wow, I think if I ever have the opportunity to work with her again on anything, I'm going to do it. So she was the genesis of my list. And this is a list of people who throughout my life I've worked with or I've had some kind of experience with that I know if they're ever working on a project and they need someone, I'm going to say yes, because it's always going to be well done and valuable. And if I'm ever working on something and I need someone, that's who I'm going to call.
That's awesome.
So if I ever have the opportunity to put together my dream team, these are the people on my dream team. And it's a very exclusive list.
It's like a Miami club down in VIP, baby.
Like, there's people who I know and love dearly who are not on this list.
Yeah.
Because just, I know they're not going to be able to put their shit aside in order to do what we need to do, or they're just not reliable, or they've got too much other stuff going on in their lives. Yeah. But Sarah's on that list.
Yes.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly.
I love this concept of the dream team. And I know that, Sarah, we can talk about this later, but I'm assuming I'm not on your dream team list when it comes to doing anything around the house. Because, Sarah's the one who's taught me how to use a glue gun and a drill. And a drill. So I'm getting maybe she's training me.
Slowly but surely.
But no, that's a lovely concept, though. And I also because it's also, being supportive and lifting up other people and so on and so forth. If someone needs your help and they're on that list, you're going to be there for them. And that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing is, I think that Sarah is really good at communicating what she needs in all kinds of circumstances, and communicating her boundaries. And that's something that I super admire and respect. I had a point where I was going with that.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're fine. I don't remember
the dream team.
Oh, yeah. And because she's so self-aware, she's cognizant that of asking those questions of people, and she's not just going to assume what I need or what I want, but she's going to kind of check in. My mother died a few years ago, and she was sick for a while before that. And Sarah was really instrumental. And I don't know that I saw you during that time physically, but she was phenomenal. Being really supportive, knowing that she couldn't be there physically, and nor did I really need her there physically, but she was incredibly supportive and asking how I needed to be supported, which was awesome, because other people didn't. They're like, oh, let me just come and help you. And that wasn't really helpful. Or, hey, let's talk about it. What's going on? And what do you need? And it was more like, you're probably pretty tired right now. I know you don't want to talk, but I'm here. So you let me know what you need, and I've got you. And that was good. To just feel like someone always has your back. Yeah. That's a phenomenal feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. I do just kind of want to bask in that for a moment. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you lean forward and just say, ditto, then you suck.
Why do you think I had you go first? Ditto. Well, no, I would say I am a single person. I've lived alone for quite some time, and I've learned throughout my professional life that pause in the tape. Yeah. The dog just stuck his foot in his food.
Baba Reno.
Oh, yeah.
Do you need a paper towel or anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do that.
Yeah.
Bob! He's like, I just want to be sure everything's going okay.
I needed to touch it. I'm into textures. I really wanted to touch it.
Can he lick your hand for a second?
Yeah, you can lick. Okay. I thought you were asking me if I could lick my hand for a second. I'm like, I guess I could. I've been touching Bob and all these other things. I'd really rather wash my hand first before I lick it, but...
We got a little on the couch, so we might need a wet one a little while.
Okay. No problem.
Bull stuck his foot in it.
He did. Did he stick all of his feet in it?
I got it all back here too.
Oh man, Bob.
He just got his foot in dragged it.
What's happening,
so
Bob?
hard to find a good producer.
He's like, you guys aren't talking about me enough.
I know,
is he trying to eat it now? Okay, yep, he's trying to eat it now that it's on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean it up, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, let's get that paw.
What's on your hand, too? I think there's something on your left thumb.
Some kind of roasted red pepper type situation. Maybe a
tomato. Ooh,
fancy. I know, he's like, no, I don't want it. I'd rather eat, cat poo. Okay. All right. Lick Miss Jen's hand for a little while.
Are we done? Are we back? Game on.
Game on.
Okay.
So if you want to start over.
I will start over.
Yeah.
So I've been single.
All the single ladies.
That's so funny. Me and Ashley sang that on the last episode.
Nice.
So I like that there's this theme
That's right.
and this
It's
immediate
camaraderie.
Beyonce sort of
Mm-hmm.
need. So yes.
There's this really, speaking of single ladies, there's this really cool YouTube vlogger, I guess you would call her, I met a couple weeks ago through a friend of a friend.
Hey.
And so she's relatively new, her YouTube channel, but it's called Spinsterhood. It's really pretty funny. Her videos are pretty good. So
I got to check it out.
just gonna pitch that whenever I can.
Yeah, I
Very
love
funny.
it. That sounds good.
Well, as a single person, you don't necessarily have someone to go home to at night to kind of debrief your day, decompress, something like that. And for the most part, that's okay. But I know also from different, professional workshops and training that I'm someone that for the bigger things in my life need to process that out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I will even call her and say, I just need to talk this through to someone else, or do this or that. And I so appreciate that I can do that. Like I can call or FaceTime, and I do prefer calling or FaceTiming over texting. So thanks for picking up. But I really appreciate that, again, that kind of having your back type thing where I can throw these concepts out there or, does it make me a shitty person if, and you'll tell me yes or no. Really honestly, or we can say the hard truths to each other about, personal or professional life, or like, you need to get yourself together.
Yeah.
Or nope, be gentle with yourself, or, whatever that is. I really trust and value your opinions and your thoughts, and recognize for some things we don't have the same taste. We don't have the same style. There's, certain things, but you're able to say, I think that would work great there, or whatever. You're a fabulous sounding board. And I really, really appreciate that. Bob's very much likes to lick hands. And so I had to transition his licking
From your hand
from
to
my
Jen's.
hand to Jen's hand. Maybe we can edit that out. Right?
Oh, that tickles.
Well, no, we can't edit it out. I hear in the background, I'm like, that tickles. So maybe open palm?
No, I don't know. So tickly.
Okay.
How about my leg? Can you lick my leg?
That's going to be
Okay.
worse.
No, it's better. I don't know why. My hands are more sensitive.
Tickle bite.
Lick away.
So, but no, I know if I ever need anything, you will do that. And so I think, again, particularly in the last few years, and I don't know if it's an age thing or a distant, I don't know, but I think even in these last few years, we've gotten closer and better about being a friend and what does that mean, and, how can we support each other? And it is really hard sometimes. It was hard when you were going through all that stuff with your mom to be at a distance. Like, I wish I could have been there to just go grab coffee or help around the house so you don't have to worry about it, or that was really hard to help your friend go through something as significant as that and not be able to give him a hug, or not, be able to do some of the things that I would maybe normally lean or rely on to show support.
It's funny because another friend who I was just visiting with recently was talking about that and how they felt like an awful person because they were so far away from me while all that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they just felt guilty and they apologized. And I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding? I knew you had my back.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's still like, I know you felt that, but it's, you wish you could be there. Yeah. And it's the hard types of life stuff where there's nothing I can do that's going to change this situation, so, you don't want to see your friends hurting.
Yeah.
So that's hard, and even harder to not, because it wasn't about me. It wasn't like I didn't get my jollies being able to help you out. It was like, I would imagine there was some type of support you needed that that could only be there from a close friend being physically there.
It's funny.
Geography.
I'm gonna interrupt. Geography. I'm gonna interrupt you again though, because I just can. And a friend of mine recently lost her sister, and so I was at the funeral, and she was, thanking us for being there, and I broke down crying, and I said, she just talked about how much it meant for us to be there. Not that you ever do much at a funeral, right?
Yeah.
And I broke down crying when I was trying to explain to her that my goal in being there, and I think this applies whether you're there physically for someone or just emotionally, is that you hope that your presence can take 1 ounce of their pain away. And that's all you can do, because there's nothing physically you can do, especially when someone's grieving, and you can't change things. Sometimes doing physical things helped, but I don't really need much of that, honestly. But yeah, it's about feeling so deeply and just your heart breaking when you see someone in pain and wishing there were anything you could do to take that pain away. And I think our presence in those moments is so important.
I think of our friendship a lot as, sometimes we carry it equally. Sometimes we carry that friendship equally, but more often than not, no. One person carries that load a little bit more than the other. And so, being able to pick it up when the other person needs it, or things like that is very valuable. It's really a give and a take, I think, in our friendship. And sometimes we have friendships where there's more taking than giving, or, vice versa, or something like that.
And trusting that it'll, not keeping track. Right. And trusting that it'll all wash out in the end.
Yeah.
Right. That you're not doing it to build up capital because you're going to ask for something at some point.
Right.
It's just, you do it because it's part of the dynamic, and that you'll get it back when it's time.
Well, I think all friendships ebb and flow, and you've got your own, as I've done some reflection over the last year, and some even my health or mental health pieces, and recognizing I wasn't maybe the best friend at certain points, but I knew we'd always be fine. I knew if there's any weirdness or whatever, we'd work it through, we'd figure it out. And so that was nice to not have to worry about that being on the line. That you could kind of be yourself, warts and all, and be like, they'll still be there. They'll still be there to help or call me out or do whatever. So that's...
I think I had a dream about warts last night.
And nice moment ruined.
Interesting.
Well, no, when I see your friendship and I hear about your friendship and listening to stories that I haven't heard before and hearing you talk about things, to me, I think you have a really special friendship. And it's not something, people have lots of cool friendships and it's fun to see those friendships, but there's something between, and maybe I'm just feeling left out a little bit, and I'm going to have to go talk to Kate immediately, but between the secret hashtag and literally the shit that has happened, but just doing things differently though too. People wouldn't think about playing a game at lunchtime. People wouldn't think about trying to maintain a friendship. Well, we play games. Well, let's just FaceTime and figure out how to do it. Who takes the time to do that?
Right.
And just know that through that you can have those conversations. It's as close as you can get to face. And just also something that I would like to mention is just the amount of respect you have for each other is so clear. And I don't think that is always the case in relationships. There you can clearly see that. And, for me, I'm over here I'm going to have to go hashtag this with Kate later. We're going to have to come up with our own thing. But,
step up your game a little bit.
I guess so. Right? I'm learning. I thought I knew all the tricks and trades, and that's why I was doing the podcast. But no, friends, it's all about, learning from other people and celebrating all the different kinds of friendships. And I think y'all have just brought up so many different things I keep saying it wrong, but Reverend Grandstaff at the wedding, and how you involve friends in weddings, or taking care of each other's pets, or how do you help someone through something when you're at a distance, and how do you, there's just so many good nuggets of information that I feel like, even though I know Sarah, so a lot of things, Jen, you're saying, I'm like, yeah, I see that in these ways, but I'm not going to tell all those stories now. That'll be for a different episode. Yeah. Right. But also going back to your, like, you are what you eat. The idea that knowing Sarah myself, that I know that you're good people. And I think that you're good people together. So I'm glad that you're friends and that you got your shit together, Jen, after that game of shithead. Can we just pause and say that the game is called Shithead and how much shit is in your friendship literally?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally...
It's a reoccurring theme.
If it were like a book, it would be like a foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowed our entire friendship.
But it's the idea that not only did you have shit in your friendship, but you can get through it as well. Bless you, Bob. So I just want to say thank you so much, Sarah and Jen, for sharing all of your friendship with me and the listeners, and Bob for being here and letting us know. Yeah, Bob, tell us something. He says, I want to lick something, and I'm hungry, and I probably got to poop.
He's already done that. He's a prodigious pooper.
Like,
is he going to go out there and poop for your friendship?
3 times on the walk today? Three
times on the walk.
3 times on a walk?
Yeah.
Dude, he is shitting for your friendship.
I can tell when he's all cleaned out because when he sneezes, he toots at the same time. It's adorable. It's adorable.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's my handsome man. He's so cute.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
My pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Oh my goodness, so much poop and shit in this episode. What was that even about? It's hilarious. But I think what we can take away from this episode from hearing Sarah and Jen is that you got to make it work. You got to try something different, like playing Life at lunch. Whoever even thought of that, right? I mean, I played Life when I was a kid, and that's when you're really thinking about, do I want to have kids? What would they be named? But they're playing it at lunch, and I love that there's something to do besides going to lunch or just chit-chatting, that there's other ways that you can do friendship, right? Or apparently we need to all hashtag it up. I'm feeling pretty left out, and I need all of your thoughts about hashtags. And I think we can also take away from this episode that maybe we should stay away from the friend shit, or we need to find a way to make it through. You got to make your dream team. You got to support each other. You got to respect each other. You got to love your friends, warts and all. And remember, as Jen said, you are what you eat. So are you, Taco Bell? Because Sarah and Jen sure are. But no matter what, let's commit to stepping up our friendship game, right? Sarah and Jen gave me lots of ideas, and these are things that I hadn't tried or I haven't heard from another listener. So who's coming with me? Who wants to step it up with me? Who wants to share your friendship stories with me? I sure hope you do. If you like what you have in your ear holes, there's a few things you can do. First, I'd love to have you follow Best Forevers on social media. You can find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Best Forevers Pod, and I'm Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter. Social media is a great way to follow the podcast, to get updates, and to get involved with discussions and other items related to friendship. And I really look forward to us connecting. Second, I'm all about loving on friendship and hearing stories. I mean, how many times have I already asked you to send me your stories? Well, I'm going to do it one more time in this episode. You can share your stories by checking out bestforeverspod.com/surveys. And there's a number of surveys you can fill out, and they range in different topics, including sharing your friendship origin stories, which I always love to hear. Or you can email me at bestforeverspod@gmail.com. I need to hear if your friendships will give Sarah and Jen's a run for their money. And it's not like it's a competition. I just want a whole bunch of ideas. And I guess if a lot of people send them in, we could do like a Final Four countdown or something like that. Final Four as like March Madness, folks. If you're not sports ball people, we can just have a top 5 strategies too. So send me your friendship strategies. I'm also working on episodes related to pet as our friends, rejection and being left out, and as well as having Sarah and Kelly from Bad Feminist Film Club back on to hear your stories of friendships rooted in movies. They were last week's episode, still searching for those friendship movie stories. And remember, folks, I'm not nosy. I just love to geek out on friendship. And I think it's important to hear different stories of friendship because I didn't even know about friendship hashtags. I mean, who was going to tell me? I guess Sarah and Jen. So please send me your stories. Third, if you care about friendships like I do and want to support Best Forevers, you might consider supporting the movement to love on our friends more on patreon.com/bestforeverspod. There's lots of cool perks and goals. You got to check it out. I would love to call you friends with benefits. And thanks to all my lovely patrons, all my friends with benefits out there, I'm about to get new mic stands that I'll be showing off soon enough. And I have some amazing extras from this episode, including a Hallmark game. Me, Sarah, and Jen all play. It's hilarious. And Bob, too. The dog, he's also involved, right? So come join me and Best Forevers on Patreon. Finally, thanks for listening to Best Forevers. I appreciate every single listen, like, follow, post, and retweet. Please subscribe, rate, and review Best Forevers. It means the world, and it helps the podcast so much. And always, if you've got a friend that's your friend, then share this friendship podcast with them. I appreciate the support so much that I wanted to promo 2 of my dear podcast friends' podcasts. First up is the wonderful Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts. My favorite episode are the ones that focus on sunshine, but she also focuses on power cuts, which is the idea of not having that sunshine, and she lives off the grid, so where does the power come from? But I love the sunshine ones because it reminds me to enjoy nature and to make connections with dear friends like her. We actually chatted over the weekend, and she's going to be having her 1-year podiversary in August, and she'll be hosting the second Sunshine Summit. And I'm returning to chat with Heather live on Monday, August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you're in the future like Heather and you're out there somewhere in New Zealand, then you can see me at 11 a.m. on August 14th. But pencil that into your calendar and check out her episodes. Her voice is relaxing and motivating, and you're going to love it. I also love Happily Ever Aftermath with Diana and Paulina. Y'all, this podcast focuses on relationships we have with movies and what would have happened after the movie ended. And you know I have so many connections with movies, and I often wonder a lot about what happened or if they would have done a sequel or if things would have just happened differently. So where to start? Oh gosh, I have so many favorites, but I would suggest, getting into a classic, When Harry Met Sally, and then just get into it, get involved with this podcast. You gotta listen to The Lost Boys, Can't Hardly Wait, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Hey, Pretty in Pink, you'll hear me because I was a guest on their show. Thank you for that. Better Off Dead, a classic John Cusack, and then their latest. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have thought of this one for our collaboration, but Heathers. I love this movie with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. It is such a classic. So if you love movies and connect to them like I do, you'll find Happily Ever Aftermath is just a delight. So y'all, be sure to tell your friends you love them because without your friends, who would you be? But in this case, if you and your best friend don't have a secret hashtag, are you even friends? Okay, seriously, I need hashtags. Send me secret hashtags. Okay, bye.
Hello, it's Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, the podcast that features 2 types of episodes which alternate. The Sunshine ones offer inspiration drawn from nature, but in the Power Cut ones, I share honest insights into my life living off the power grid in rural New Zealand. If you'd like to check it out, it can be found where good podcasts can be downloaded, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SunPowerPod. Until then, be empowered by nature.
Did you ever go on vacation with your family and hope the dance instructor would fall in love with you?
No, but I did think a guy with a giant boombox playing Peter Gabriel outside my window in the middle of the night meant true and undying love.
Listen to our podcast, Happily Ever Aftermath, where we revisit these movies and it turns out they weren't the best ideas.
What were we thinking?
You can find our podcast, Happily Ever Aftermath, on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or your favorite podcatcher.
You can also tweet at us at HEAMCAST, Heamcast.